Welcome to my system tutorial where you're going to be learning how to create a two-step opt-in funnel. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to create a landing page to collect email addresses, send your new subscribers to a thank you page, and deliver an automated email to send them what they signed up for. This tutorial is perfect for you if you're launching a freebie like a workshop or a digital download, or you're simply building your email list through a newsletter or some other freebie. If you'd like to follow along with this video as we create the funnel, but you don't already have a system account, you can sign up for a completely free account using the link in the description below this video or by going to laralasala.com/system. If you already have a system account, simply log in and follow along. Now, before we get started, there's a few things we're going to want to have handy before we start building our page. That is our landing page copy, thank you page copy, delivery email that sends them the freebie, the download or link to the freebie itself, some type of design element, a link to your website's privacy policy, and if you have a branding guide or brand fonts and colors for your business, you're going to want to have those handy as well. Now, if you don't have any of those ready, I'm going to take a few minutes here and talk through each one. So you're welcome to pause on each slide, create the asset, and hit play when you're ready to start building the funnel. It's considered best practice for opt-in pages to keep them simple. We have one goal in mind, and that is our visitor exchanging their email address for our freebie. So when it comes to your landing page copy, all you need is a results-driven headline, a tagline, 3 bullets on what the freebie is going to help your visitor do, and copy to put on the button that they're going to tap to submit their information. For your thank you page copy, you're basically going to want to draft that around whatever it is you want your visitor to do next. So for this, think about your ideal client and what would be the next best step for them specifically. That may be purchasing a low-ticket tripwire product, booking a free or paid call, applying for a call or program, or simply following you on YouTube, your podcast, or whatever social media channel that you're building a following on. For the delivery email that sends them the freebie, you can keep that super simple. Simply greet them by their name, reiterate the 3 bullets that were on your landing page, link them to the freebie, and sign off. Now, if you're someone that likes to keep things low tech, for the link to your actual freebie, you can simply upload your freebie into Google Drive, create a shareable link, and use that to deliver the freebie. For the design element, you can choose either an image of you, a mock-up of your freebie, or a video about your freebie. To create a mock-up, you can take a screenshot of the actual freebie, upload it to Canva, make any edits you'd like for instance, you could blur out the content of the freebie, or you could add design elements like a title or your branding, and then simply download the file with a transparent background. And again, just to reiterate, you're going to want to link to your website's privacy policy so that you're in adherence with any legal requirements, and your branding guide or brand fonts and color hex codes. Once you have all of those elements ready, it's time to create your funnel. Now, there's one thing we want to do technically before we dive in. The first step in this funnel process is to create a tag. Now, if you're not familiar with tags, it's a way to segment your audience by their behavior. So for instance, I'm going to create a tag for anyone who has registered for my freebie so that in the future, if I want to send out a broadcast only to people who have signed up for my freebie, I can filter my contact list by contacts that have that specific tag. So to create our tag, we're going to hover over contacts and click on tags. Next, click on the blue button to create your tag. Now, if you're a solopreneur and you're the only person accessing your system account, you may think you want to create a simple tag called freebie. But as your business grows, or if you already have team members, you want to make sure that you name things in your account in a way that makes it obvious to other people what that asset is. So in our case, I'm going to name this tag the actual name of the freebie. And I'm going to go one step further and add registered so that anyone who uses my system knows that this tag applies to anyone who actually registered for the freebie versus maybe say later down the line, if I wanted to create a grouping of people that actually clicked on the link in the delivery email and downloaded the freebie, I might call that tag VA Jumpstart Guide downloaded. So for clarity's sake, we're naming our tag VA Jumpstart Guide registered, and we're going to click save. Next, we're going to come to websites and sales funnels. And once you're in your funnel dashboard, you're going to click create and walk through the prompts that system provides here. Again, we're going to keep things simple and direct by naming this funnel the name of the freebie. We can choose what funnel domain we'd like the page to be hosted on. Now, if you're just starting out, you just created your account, System is going to let you host your pages on their domain, which is simply the name of your account.system.io. However, you can integrate a branded domain with your system account, or you can create a subdomain of your website's domain and host your funnels there. If that's something you want to pursue, just check out System support docs and they have full step-by-step instructions on how to do either of those things. Next, we're going to choose our funnel goal. You can see there's 4 options here. In our case, we're simply collecting email addresses to build our list, so we're going to choose build an audience. Finally, we're going to choose our currency. Even though we're not selling anything in this funnel, it requires you to do that, and click save. Then just click into the name of the funnel you just created. Now you can see System has created a two-step funnel for you here. The first step of which is a squeeze page, otherwise known as an opt-in page or a registration page, and your thank you page. To get started building your opt-in page, simply scroll through the templates here, and you can click on the 30 or on the next button here to see more options. When we're promoting an opt-in, it's best to keep it simple. Remember, this has one purpose, and that is for someone to exchange their email address with us for our freebie. So we don't need to create some long, detailed sales page. We simply want to look for a simple layout, which we can preview by clicking Preview Template and scrolling through the page to make sure we like the layout, and then click Select when we're ready to choose that template. We're going to name our funnel step here. I refer to my opt-in page as an opt-in page, not a squeeze page, so I'm simply going to rename it opt-in page. And then I'm going to choose my URL path, which is also referred to as a slug, and is the string of numbers and letters at the end of the root domain. Now you can leave this as is, but I like to brand it, so I'm simply going to make the slug the same as my actual freebie. All right, now we're ready to edit our page. System's landing page builder, similar to some other all-in-ones and other landing page builders, are made up of sections, rows, and elements. Your elements are listed in the left sidebar and are things like your text, your buttons, your images, your form inputs, and slider bars for testimonials. These elements are organized into rows depending on how many columns you want in each section of your page. And then the rows are organized into sections, which are the overall larger blocks that make up your page. The sections are indicated by these green borders, the rows by a blue border, and the elements by an orange border. Now, remember I said we like to keep our opt-in pages simple and to the point. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna delete any sections that might cause a distraction to our visitors. So this shouldn't take you more than a couple minutes. And now we're left with our header section. Now, before we dive into actually customizing our page, I like to come over to the page settings. Now, the reason I like to do this first is because, honestly, I very often forget to do it at the end, and I know that that's an issue for other people because I can tell when people share out their freebies that they haven't updated their page settings. So simply click on the settings button and you can see all of your options here. Now, the first thing you're going to do is scroll to the heading typography, and you're going to choose what font you want for your headline text. So for instance, I like Lato. But what's really great here is there's a ton of different fonts and it shows you exactly what they look like here. So you can either type in your branded font or you can scroll through to see the fonts that are available and choose one that you like. And you can see when you click it, it automatically updates on the page. You can choose your text color here, change your background color here, or even upload a background image. Blur it out if you like. Under the search engine optimization settings, this is where you're going to input information that's going to help people find your page if they type something relevant into the search bar on Google or whatever browser you're using. However, this information is also going to be shared when you share your freebie link on places like social media or indirect messages. So under the title, we're simply going to name it the name of our freebie, write a description that has some keywords that's relevant to our audience, share some relevant keywords, type your name or business name as the author, and upload a social image or graphic. If you don't already have one created, you can create one easily inside of Canva. The next setting is to choose whether or not to hide your page from search engines. Because we're creating a freebie, this is something we want people to find, so we don't actually want to hide this from search engines. But if on another day you're creating a funnel that has some private content that you want only available to paying members, or it's a sales page for a course that isn't evergreen or always available, you may want to hide those pages from search engines. If you need to add any header code or footer code to your page, you can do that under tracking. And finally, under affiliation, you can choose whether or not to make the affiliate badge for System visible on your page. Now, this is a test account, so it's a free account. And when you have a free account, System does require you to display your affiliate badge on every page. But if you're on a paid tier of System, even the lowest paid, you do have the option to disable this affiliate badge. Once you're done adjusting your settings, click Save up here in the top right-hand corner. All right, it's time to dive into customizing our page. So at a minimum on your opt-in page, there are at least 3 elements that you need. First is a results-driven headline, the second is a lead capture form, and the third is a button. However, you may also want a design element, depending on where your business is operating in and what countries you're marketing in. You may need a checkbox to be in accordance with privacy policies, like GDPR. And to be in compliance, you're going to want to link to your website privacy policy. System makes it super simple to customize all of these elements, so let's dive in on how to do that. The most important part of your opt-in page is your copy. It's not the design, having your brand colors, it's not the images, it is always the copy. In order to adjust the copy on your page, you simply click into the element and type in to change the copy. And remember, we want to keep it results driven, so it's not just about what they're actually getting, like a guide or a download or a video. It's more about the outcome that download is going to help them achieve. So for instance, my guide is going to help someone launch their virtual assistant business in 5 easy steps. If you'd like, you can also add a tagline. This is basically text that supports the result and addresses potentially any objections, challenges, or concerns they might have about achieving the outcome. Finally, I'm going to customize this text here to tell them what they're actually getting. The next most important elements are your lead capture form and your button. So it's generally accepted that pop-ups perform better than inline forms. So a pop-up is a little window that, as you guess it, pops up when you click a button on the page, and it looks something like this. An inline form would be when the input fields like first name and email are directly embedded into the page itself. So for our purposes today, we're going to show you how to create a pop-up by clicking on the pop-up button. And this template already has a pop-up created, but if it didn't, you could click add pop-up and create your own. Because it has one, we're going to click on this little eye icon to edit. So I'm basically going to reiterate the same copy that I have on my opt-in page, and then I'm going to focus on my input fields. Now, at the very least, we obviously need an email input field, because how else are we going to email these people the thing that they sign up for if we don't collect their email address? And I like to also include a first name field so we can personalize our emails that we send. So I'm going to drag and drop the form input here and simply select the input type as first name. And I don't want to make this optional. I actually want to make it required so that we can personalize. But if you like, you can make any field on this opt-in optional or required by simply disabling or enabling this checkbox here. Now you can see this form input looks a little bit different than the one that was already here. So we can click here and our editor is going to open over here on the left-hand pane, and we can get rid of these corners here because I don't like rounded corners actually. And we can also create a margin so that there's a little space. And for this input box, we can bring this up a little, oh, I don't want to do that, hold on. We can actually bring this up a little closer to the copy above by adjusting our margins. Now that we have our input fields all set, we want to take care of our button here. So when you click on the button, it's going to bring up your adjustments over here. And the action when the button is clicked that we want to happen is to submit the form. Now this is very important to choose submit form, because if we don't, their information isn't actually going to be collected inside of system, and we are not going to be able to follow up with this lead. So make sure to choose submit form, and we want to redirect our users to the next step, which remember when we were in the funnel editor itself, we had our squeeze page and then our thank you page. So the next step after our squeeze page is going to be the thank you page, which is exactly where we want people to go. Now, this option may be important to you if you are operating in a country or marketing to countries that require a double opt-in. There's 2 types of opt-ins, a single opt-in and a double opt-in. A single opt-in basically means that when someone submits their information on this form, you are immediately allowed legally to email them. A double opt-in, however, means that when someone submits their information, they're first going to get an email that asks them to click a link to confirm their subscription to your email list. If you enable a double opt-in on your form and the person does not click the link in that email, your system will not allow you to email them any follow-up messages. So you want to check legally if you're required to use a double opt-in on your form or not, and subsequently check or uncheck this box. Now there is an option to add an automation rule here, but I'm going to show you how to do that in a different place in system, so we're going to skip over that part. You can make other adjustments to your button by scrolling through these options here. You can adjust the font size, line height, fonts, background color, and any other adjustments that you want to make. When you're done making adjustments to your pop-up, simply click twice and it'll bring you back to the page editor. We're going to make the same adjustments to our button here, except on this button, the action is going to be to show the pop-up and choose the pop-up. After we've made our adjustments, we're going to get rid of any other elements in this section that we don't want and click save. Now, in this case, I don't want this button to look like this. So a really cool feature of system is that you can simply drag and drop elements anywhere that you want on the page. So I'm going to drag and drop this right under the element above. and get rid of this little row here. Next up is to customize the design element on the page. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can include an image of yourself. It can be a mock-up of your freebie, or you could also put a video. You're simply going to drag and drop whatever element you'd like to include here, or click on the element itself to upload a new image. And you can either upload an image from your device or choose from images you already have uploaded. In this case, we're using a mock-up that you can see I've designed in Canva and blurred out the actual content. Finally, we're going to create our footer. So if you scroll over to your elements here, you're going to find this section element and drag and drop it. And you can click into the gear icon to adjust the background. Come back out to your elements, drag and drop some text, type right in privacy policy, change the color so that it's visible, and then drop your website privacy policy link right here, and make sure you click this little arrow here so that when someone clicks your privacy policy, it opens in a new window and doesn't actually redirect them out of this page. Now you can see there's a big space here at the bottom. To get rid of that, you can go back to your settings, scroll to background color, and choose the same color as the footer. So you can do that and then simply come up into this section and make the background color white again. There we go. So you can come into this section if you want and adjust any margins or padding if you want to drag this down a little bit so it's not so much real estate on the footer, and click save. Now, before we exit out of this page, there's a very important step I don't want you to miss, and that is to make sure that your landing page is optimized for mobile. So many people forget to do this, and I know they forget to do it because I click on lots of links when I'm on my phone and I can't read the headline, I can't see the image, the button is halfway on the page or halfway off the page, and it creates a really poor mobile experience and could affect how many people actually opt into your freebie. So System makes it really easy by including this little mobile icon down here in the bottom left-hand corner. So you're going to simply click that, and that's going to open up the mobile version of your page. And you can see that we can clearly read all of the copy on the page and the button is above the fold, which means people don't have to scroll to find it. So this is an optimized mobile version of this page. But you can see that our image is missing. So we're going to pop back over here to the desktop version, and you can see here that System is telling us that this image is currently only visible on desktop. So we're going to click our gear here, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and you can see that this is unchecked. So we're option and come back here, and you can see our image is now at the bottom of the page, right above our privacy policy. We can click save, and now we are ready to view our page. We're going to click out, and we're going to click view funnel step. And now we can see what our page looks like on desktop. And if we wanted to, we could also copy this link and go to it on our mobile as well. Now, where do people go after they opt in to our freebie? They're going to come to our thank you page. So we're going to follow the same exact process here by choosing a template, and we can preview it and scroll through it and click select when we're ready. We found the one we want. We can make any adjustments to the name and the URL slug, and then head on over to edit page to customize. Again, we're going to delete any extraneous elements that we don't want. This is actually a great version of a thank you page. So here we're thanking them for signing up. We're going to reiterate what they signed up for, and then we're going to tell them what to expect. So I like to tell them that the freebie is going to be delivered to their email, remind them to check both their inbox and their spam folder. And I also like to tell them the actual subject line and who it's coming from, because if they can't find it, then it's easy for them to search for it. But I also like to include my support email address just in case it gets lost in the internet ethers, which does happen. And finally, I'm going to give them a next step. And remember here to think about your ideal client. Now, this funnel is designed to attract people that want to solve the problem that your freebie helps them solve. But after we've attracted that person, we want to funnel down to our actual ideal client. So you want to think about what is the next step that my ideal client would want to take and offer it to them here. Now that could be inviting them to purchase a low ticket tripwire, for a call or a program, book a call, or simply follow you wherever you're building your following. But regardless, you can come over here to the elements pane and add in any videos, images, audios, or anything that may support them in making that next step. We already know how to adjust our button by choosing what action we want to happen when someone clicks it, updating our button text, and making any adjustments to the colors and text. Finally, before we go, we want to make sure that we optimize this on mobile, delete any extraneous elements that we don't want, and click save. Now, you remember in your opt-in page when we were making the adjustments to the button settings, there was an option to create an automation rule. Now, the reason why I didn't create it inside of the opt-in page is because that only allows you to add a tag to the contact. Remember that tag we created at the very beginning of the video? But I actually want 2 steps in my automation rule. So I'm going to come over to this step here inside of the funnel settings to create my automation rules. I'm going to add a rule by clicking this blue button. So we're going to click on the button here to choose our trigger, and that is when a funnel step form is subscribed. And because we only have one opt-in in this funnel, it automatically populates that here. And I just backed out of that actually and came back in because I noticed when I add my trigger that this said thank you page, and that's not correct. I think that was just a glitch happening with system. So I just X'd out and came back in and it automatically populated the opt-in page. That's what you want to see here, is that the funnel is the name of the funnel that you're in and the funnel step is your opt-in page step. For our actions, you can see they give you a whole bunch of actions here. Now remember, we want to add a tag and we already created that tag. So we're going to click here and choose that tag. And then we also want to send them an email. And inside of here, you can choose an email if you already have it created, or you can create your email message. Now, I want to caution you here, if you start typing in your subject and your body of your email here, don't think that it automatically saves and you can X out and it's all going to be captured. You need to make sure that you scroll down and click save. I've done that one too many times, so I just want to make sure that you know not to do that. So here we're going to put our subject. And remember on our thank you page, we told them that we use the subject line you're in. So you want to make sure include that here, and you can put free download, free VA jumpstart guide, whatever you want to do here. Now in the body of the email, if you're just launching this freebie for the first time, you can keep it super simple. So you want to type a simple greeting and choose to personalize the email to their first name. Next, you're going to remind them what benefit or outcome they receive from using the guide. And you can simply repurpose your bullets from your opt-in page. Then you're going to direct them to download the freebie. So for that, you'll simply type some copy, highlight it, and hyperlink your shareable Google link or whatever link you're using to host your freebie, such as Dropbox or your website. Then you're going to simply sign off. And you've now written your delivery email. But before you go, type in your sender name and your sender email address. Now, this is a test account, so it's not going to attach to an email address, but you'll simply choose your sender email address here, scroll to the bottom, and click save. Once you've saved your email, you're going to click save your rule, and you've just created your automation rule. I know you're so excited to share your freebie, but before you do, you want to make sure that you test your funnel, not just to make sure that it works, but also that it provides a good experience to a visitor. So come back to your funnel settings, click on your opt-in page, and view the funnel step. Now you want to look at your opt-in page through the eyes of a visitor that may not know you, doesn't know anything about your business, and doesn't know anything about this freebie. And you want to make sure that your results-driven headline is something that's going to capture their attention. Your tagline addresses any objections or challenges they have with that outcome, and that your pop-up functions appropriately to drive them to the thank you page. Check your thank you page for any typos, make sure all of the information is correct, and that any links or buttons work here as well. Finally, head on over to your email to make sure that you received your delivery email, to make sure that you received your freebie, proofread that, check all the links, and once everything looks good to go, you're ready to promote your freebie. Now, there's a couple other pro tips I want to mention here. The first is you'll notice on the thank you page that I didn't invite them to download the freebie directly on the thank you page. And that's intentional because we're building our email list and we want to keep the relationship going with our new subscriber. Requiring them to go to their email to download their freebie is actually going to help us with our deliverability. If someone could download their freebie right on this page, the chances of opening our email are slim to none. But them going to their email, opening our message, and clicking on the link inside lets their email service provider know that they want to hear from us. So our messages will have a higher chance of landing in their primary inbox versus their spam. The second tip is that in the online space, sometimes you'll hear the term set it and forget it. And people reference this when they're talking about automated funnels that you can basically create and then just let them run. However, with any funnel, you don't ever want to set it and forget it. You actually want to come back and look at the data and the statistics to see what's working or not working so that you can make improvements to reach more people and continue to grow your email list even bigger. So if you enjoyed what I shared in this video and it's intrigued you to sign up for a system account, If you don't already have one, just a reminder, you can use the link in the description to sign up for a completely free account, or you can go to laralasala.com/system, click the subscribe button on my channel, and hit the bell to turn your notifications on. Bye for now.